The Republican Jersey lawmaker claims the drones are linked to an Iranian ship off the Jersey shore.
Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones. That mothership is off, I'm going to tell you the deal. It's off the east coast of the United States of America.
So Van Drew thinks it's Iran, a country that doesn't necessarily like us very much. However, he didn't provide very much evidence to back his claim, which kind of begs the question, do we not have the technology available to track these drones? And how did they make it all the way from Iran to here without being like tracked or like refueling or whatever? They just like crossed our borders and nobody noticed. Now, what is peculiar is that local law enforcement is being told to investigate SUV-sized drones in the sky. Really? Local law enforcement beat cops? It's also pretty surprising to hear the Pentagon say that this isn't a threat when it literally flew over President-elect Donald Trump's golf club. And we all have to address that the go-to reasoning for some of these politicians is Iran. Does that give this current administration the go-ahead to just go ahead and bomb them? For President Biden to go ahead and wage war against Iran as Trump is about to take office? Now, others say that it's a clear false flag event to justify attacking Iran as soon as possible, meaning that these drones may have come from the US government. Can they be trusted? Remember that Chinese spy balloon that was shot out of the sky? These are dozens of drones flying over New Jersey.
Around on several different websites here. We're checking with the Associated Press. We're checking Twitter on several different official. Well, I believe it just happened there. That was it. Live, raw, and unfiltered. It appears that that China spy balloon has now been shot down over the Atlantic Ocean. You are taking a live look here, live, raw, and unfiltered, as that balloon appears to be heading downward after it has been shot down.
The lack of urgency to confirm where these drones came from, this tells us that they already know something that we don't. Some senators are saying that it's time to shoot them out of the sky. Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal says that intelligence analysis should be done urgently. How many of you guys agree with Richard Blumenthal? Now, apart from taking these drones out, his reasoning is because they're flying over airports and military bases, something that could ultimately affect our national security. Do you agree with him? Now, I'm pretty sure if these are man-made drones, they can't stay up in the sky forever. And if there's a mothership out there, why hasn't the federal government sent a ship to check it out? I want you to also realize that these drones are supposedly as big as an SUV, and yet somehow the FBI is unable to provide any information about them. Now remember that our taxpayer dollars keep these people in office. Maybe this is why Kash Patel is on his way in. They're supposed to be the go-to place for information, aren't they?
Sir, the FBI and our Newark field office, along with the state and local partners there, the Bureau is actively investigating the situation you mentioned, just the unexplained sighting of drone activity over that part of New Jersey, including proximity to sensitive sites and areas of concern. So we do not attribute that to an individual or a group yet. We're investigating, but I don't have an answer of who's responsible for that, of one or more people that are responsible for those drone flights. But we're actively investigating. What the Bureau has done to aid our state and local partners is what we generally do, enlist the help of the interagency, enlist the help of the public. There's a tip line there, that 1-800-CALL-FBI, tips.fbi, for information from the public that could help us resolve this.
Now, just to make this clear, the budget for the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, next year is slated at more than $11 billion. And they're using our taxpayer money to set up a tip line so that we can provide them with information about these drones. Something about that setup just doesn't seem fair to the American taxpayer. And do any of you guys believe that the FBI doesn't know anything about these drones? Or is this a situation of them knowing what these drones are and not informing the general public? Now, let's talk about the Pentagon and what they had to say about this. Watch.
Sabrina, can you tell me what the Pentagon is doing to address this issue of drone sightings over New Jersey? It's near a sensitive installations? The FBI is involved. What is the Pentagon doing?
Sure. So at this time, aware of those drone sightings that have been reported, at this time we have no evidence that these activities are coming from a foreign entity or the work of an adversary. We're going to continue to monitor what is happening, but at no point were our installations threatened when this activity was occurring. These are not U.S. military drones. Again, this is being investigated by local law enforcement. What our initial assessment here is that these are not drones or activities coming from a foreign entity or adversary.
Representative Jeff Van Drew, who is a Republican from New Jersey, was just on the air saying that Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones, and that mothership is off the east coast of the United States. Is there any truth to that?
There is not any truth to that. There is no Iranian ship off the coast of the United States, and there's no so-called mothership launching drones towards the United States.
This morning, growing concern over hundreds of these mysterious drone sightings in the Northeast.
That is not an airplane.
Videos on social media showing drones described as much larger and faster than those typically used by hobbyists, hovering over parts of New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania in recent days. Some spotted over a U.S. military facility, over reservoirs, and over President-elect Trump's golf club and summer home. The FBI is investigating, but so far, no answers.
You're telling me we don't know what the hell these drones are in New Jersey are? Is that correct?
That's right.
It's crazy. I mean, that's crazy.
So back in 2020, the Pentagon released multiple UAP videos to the public. However, there really wasn't much hype around it, given that this was the height of the pandemic. We're not sure if these were released back then to distract us, but it's clear that it didn't work. Fast forward to 2024, and we're now seeing drones being flying over some very specific areas, one of which is the golf club of President-elect Donald Trump in New Jersey. And as usual, the FBI is completely clueless as to who's manning these drones. It's kind of weird how they can locate where things came from, but they found Luigi Mangione at a random McDonald's in less than a week. But getting back on topic here, what are these drones doing? And more importantly, where did they actually come from? Republican Representative Jeff Van Drew, he says that he's got reliable information that says that these drones came from another country. Now hold on to your seats, guys, because it's about to get even wilder. There's also talk of Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, who was killed and was supposed to testify against Nancy Pelosi for insider trading. Huh, you don't say. You don't think Nancy Pelosi? Nah. Full disclosure, media outlets say that this is fake news, but hey, when there's smoke, there's fire, right? But you know what else I found out, guys? That Luigi Mangione, the alleged CEO killer, has family ties to Nancy Pelosi. I know, mind-blowing, right? So here's the latest development in the story.
A show of support for an accused killer spotted in Riverside. A makeshift billboard says, "Free Luigi Mangione, he's a hero." Public defense of the suspect has erupted online, and now we're seeing it here in Southern California. Police say evidence is piling up against accused killer Luigi Mangione, linking him to the shooting death of healthcare executive Brian Thompson. The new details don't seem to be swaying those who say the support for the suspect. Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen has a story.
Police in New York City say they have already matched the gun allegedly found with Luigi Mangione to shell casings at the scene of Brian Thompson's murder. They say they've also matched his fingerprints to a water bottle and a plastic wrapper found there. While the process could take weeks, the suspect will likely be extradited and face a murder charge in New York.
I trust the DA here in Manhattan to make sure that he puts forth an indictment that is going to be ironclad.
The suspect's attorney is casting doubt on the mounting evidence.
People need to keep an open mind, and we would get our day in court, and we would get that evidence. We can examine that evidence and challenge it.
Now, seriously, guys, you just can't make this stuff up. So reports are now saying that the grandfather of suspected United Healthcare CEO shooter Luigi Mangione was a friend of the Pelosi family. Or more accurately, they were able to dig up the fact that Luigi Mangione is a prominent Maryland real estate family, with his grandfather, Nicholas Mangione, a self-made real estate developer owning country clubs, nursing homes, and a radio station before he died in 2008. 2008. The same Nicholas Mangione also had links to the family of the former Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, who was from a prominent Italian-American family in Baltimore. In 1995, Thomas J. D. Alessandro III, the former Baltimore mayor and late brother of Pelosi, discussed his relationship with Nicholas Mangione in The Sun, saying that Nick Mangione is foremost identified as a family man. That's his calling card even before he became a successful businessman. He's maybe a little bit rough around the edges and maybe with an aggressive personality, but a man with a big heart. He earned his success the hard way. It hasn't been confirmed if Nancy Pelosi ever met Nicholas Mangione, but there are an awful lot of coincidences here, don't you guys think? Like the Pelosi's, Nicholas Mangione had strong links to his Italian immigrant roots, something that he said fueled his business ventures. When he believed that he faced discrimination at country clubs in the 1970s for being Italian, he decided to buy his own golf resort. He later went on to purchase another golf resort, 2 country clubs, and 3 conservative talk radio stations. The man himself told The Sun in 1995 that he didn't have 2 nickels to rub together when his father died when he was 11 years old. Yet, he still managed to become a millionaire. What other country can you do that in? Fast forward to now, people are now talking about Nick's grandson, Luigi Mangione. According to his cousin, Nino Mangione, who was a Maryland state legislator, the family was shocked and devastated by Luigi Mangione's arrest. They said that they only know what they have read in the media and that they offer their prayers to the family of Brian Thompson, and they ask people to pray for all involved. Now, there is a lot of theories that are floating around right now, considering this Pelosi-Mangione connection, right? But what do you guys think about this? Like, does Nancy Pelosi have something to do with the murder of the United Healthcare CEO? Drop a quick comment, yes or no, in the comments down below, guys. But man, what a story that would make, right? And you know we will be on that one like white on rice, right? So definitely subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any crazy developments and updates in this story. As all the news that matters to you, we definitely deliver it to you guys every single day. All right, so let's get back to it. So here's a photo snapped of the delegation of House and Senate lawmakers. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi looked like she was holding on for dear life as she was clutching House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Michael McCall's hand at the palace. Don't let go. The fractured hip can apparently be fixed with an operation, although it's not sure if they're going to be able to do that in Luxembourg or in the United States. But here's some pretty interesting information and facts to go with this picture. So first, the mysterious injury comes just hours after it was revealed that the San Francisco Democrat, who is currently serving her 19th term, was launching a behind-the-scenes effort to stop Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's bid to serve as the top Democrat of the House Oversight Committee. Talk about backstabbing, right? Nancy Pelosi is reportedly pushing for 74-year-old Representative Jerry Connolly over the 35-year-old New York City politician. Now, of course, we also mentioned Nancy Pelosi's fellow octogenarian, Mitch McConnell, taking a nasty spill in the U.S. Capitol and sporting a scraped face and sprained wrist because of it. There were also some moments when the Senate Minority Leader suddenly turned stone-faced and froze up mid-sentence during press conferences. Now, obviously, this brings up questions about his mental health and whether politicians enjoying their sunset years should just go ahead and give up office. Mitch McConnell at least gave up his Senate leadership seat, but at 82 years old, he still remains the longest serving leader of either party in the Senate in the U.S. history. The late Senator Dianne Feinstein clung on to her position until her death last year at age 90. So much for retirement, just go straight to the grave. Senator John McCain and Senator Frank Lautenberg also died in office at the respective ages of 81 and 89 years old. And currently, there are 6 senators and 16 members of the House in their 80s. There are also a whopping 31 senators, nearly 1/3 of the chamber, who are septuagenarian or in their 70s. And another 76 lawmakers in the House. Senator Chuck Grassley is the oldest U.S. politician at age 90. But I think you get the picture of our Congress, guys. They're old as shit. But amongst all of them, Nancy Pelosi definitely takes the cake when it comes to sabotaging her own party in the last elections. Apparently, she called herself Speaker Emerita, and under her ruthless leadership, her party lost the White House, the Senate, and the popular vote. There's no topping that, is there? Voters rejected the Dems from coast to coast, even in Nancy Pelosi's deepest blue home city of San Francisco, which saw a 7-point swing to Donald Trump. Oh, and by the way, she's the only speaker in history to have lost control of the House twice. Can you believe that she went ahead and filed to run for re-election in 2026 at the ripe age of 86? By the time she'd be done, she'd be 88 years old, and she'd even be outlasting Trump's term. Makes you wonder, when is enough with this woman, right? I mean, it's not just me, right? She's played her political game with a sort of a mean girl's sweetness, right? But it's only ended up hurting her party and delaying a very much needed showdown between the hard left and the moderates, who, by the way, seem to be walking out the door under her watch. Right now, when the GOP has become synonymous with Trump, the Democrats are all about Pelosi. And I think we can all agree, it's not a pretty sight. It's turned into a full-on blame game and just 24/7 bitterness on display, especially after their crushing defeat at the hands of the American people, which many people didn't see coming as they've been so busy calling Trump a Nazi. Question: if Nancy Pelosi truly sees Trump as a dire threat to democracy, why was Biden all smiles and welcoming him back recently? Why did Joe Biden wear full red on election day? I mean, Nancy Pelosi once vowed Trump would never step foot in the White House again. Yet, here we are. Her own people are starting to openly challenge Nancy Pelosi's tight control and questionable decisions.
As you know, Senator, there isn't a vacancy at the top of the FBI. What should become of Christopher Wray, appointed by President Trump?
Well, I think he'll make a choice. I think either he will resign or President Trump will fire him.
I've always said Wray should resign long before he answered that question in the Judiciary Committee yesterday. Look, if Christopher Wray is head of the FBI and he was telling the truth that he didn't notice anything wrong with Joe Biden, then he's not much of an investigator, and he shouldn't be leading our chief investigative agency in America.
This morning, President-elect Trump is getting ready to replace FBI Director Christopher Wray. Trump appointed him back in 2017, but has since criticized his leadership after the department investigated Trump over the past few years. A source says he is now planning for the possibility that he will be replaced, whether he is fired or simply asked to leave.
The deep state is in deep you-know-what. The corruption within our government is slowly but surely making exit plans before President-elect Donald Trump takes the White House back. And one of those people who's preparing a hasty retreat is FBI Director Christopher Wray. Reports are now coming out that Christopher Wray, he's preparing to resign from his post. Sources within the Bureau says that he's leaning towards leaving of his own accord rather than being fired by Trump. So Christopher Wray was originally hired by the former president for the job, but has since grown dissatisfied of his service. Now, it's kind of hard to blame the president-elect here, since many say that Christopher Wray targeted him in recent years.
Are you going to fire the current FBI Director, Christopher Wray, who you appointed?
Well, I can't say I'm thrilled with him. He invaded my home. I'm suing the country over it. He invaded Mar-a-Lago. I'm very unhappy with the things he's done. And crime is at an all-time high. Migrants are pouring into the country that are from prisons and from mental institutions.
And just to add to that raid at Mar-a-Lago, Christopher Wray included the possibility of using deadly force if necessary.
There are, however, certain points I want you to know. First, I personally approved the decision to seek a search warrant in this matter.
The order, according to a court filing, contained a policy statement regarding the use of deadly force, which stated, for example, law enforcement officers of the DOJ may use deadly force when necessary. According to the filing, the DOJ and FBI agents plan to bring standard issue weapons, ammo, handcuffs, and medium and large-sized bolt cutters. But they were also instructed, according to the filing, to wear unmarked polo or collared shirts and to keep law enforcement equipment concealed.
Now remember, they were supposed to just be retrieving confidential government files. Now I'm pretty sure that paper can't fight back. You might get a paper cut if you're unlucky, but that's about the worst of it. Christopher Wray is also being considered to be a part of a specific list of people that might get a preemptive pardon from President Biden. Democrats and media supporters believe that the FBI director deserves it. Although White House lawyers are also studying the situation at the moment, as providing pardons would project an admission of guilt. One source from the Bureau confirms that Christopher Wray will be gone either on or before Trump's inauguration. Now, the Washington Times is reporting that following Christopher Wray's departure, Deputy Director Paul Abate will become acting director. Mr. Bates' original plans were to stay until May, maybe even June, so that he could help with the transition to a new FBI director. Kash Patel, the person who's at the top of the list right now to take Christopher Wray's job, has met with Republican senators, and so far, most of them think that he's ready for the task. Watch.
President-elect Trump's pick for FBI Director Kash Patel on Capitol Hill, getting praise from a key Republican.
I'm certainly inclined to support him. We talked about the importance of restoring the reputation of the FBI as a nonpartisan law enforcement investigative agency.
Patel is a former federal prosecutor and national security official, but critics have slammed his call to go after those he said unfairly targeted Mr. Trump. NBC's Ryan Nobles asking him today.
Have you told President Trump that the FBI will remain independent?
In his book, Patel writing about 60 people he says are part of the, quote, deep state. We pressed President-elect Trump in our exclusive interview.
Do you want Kash Patel to launch investigations into people on that list?
No, I mean, he's going to do what he thinks is right.
The FBI on its end denies weaponizing the Bureau. In a statement that they released, they said this: the FBI has repeatedly demonstrated our commitment to responding to congressional oversight and being transparent with the American people. Director Wray and Deputy Director Abate have taken strong actions toward achieving accountability. The problem, though, is that not many within the Republican Party have been very happy with Christopher Wray's performance, one of which was Senator Chuck Grassley. Concerns that he raised with Kash Patel just recently. Watch.
I got the impression from him that there are things that I've proven over the last 8, maybe 10 years that's wrong with the FBI. Not answering our questions, letters, not appearing before committees when they're asked to appear before the committees. And a lot of things that, if you will look at a letter I sent to Wray today, that this nominee thinks that those things are wrong. They violate my responsibility of congressional oversight, and he wants to make sure that congressional oversight works, and that's all I approached him with.
So Grassley has already made his thoughts about Christopher Wray very public. In an 11-page letter, he wrote that the FBI director has had many widespread failures, adding that for the good of the country, it's time for you and your deputy to move on to the next chapter in your lives. Basically, go ahead and get the hell out. So it's becoming abundantly clear that the cleanup is already underway. So this is something that's going to be happening whether the deep state likes it or not. Now, what's really funny is that Christopher Wray has been at his job for years, but yet doesn't quite understand what the deep state stands for.
So, Director Wray, I'm going to ask you, is there a deep state at the FBI?
Congressman, I've never completely understood the term deep state. What I can tell you is that we have 37,000 men and women working in field offices all over the country and in legat offices all over the world. And they are people of character, of courage, of principle, of selflessness, and of patriotism. And that's the FBI that I see.
For a guy that's supposed to be the head of the FBI, he's not very good with intelligence and information. And his answer here sounds like it came straight out of something like ChatGPT. But the fact remains that he's on his way out. And it's possible that investigations will be done once Kash Patel is confirmed to take his job. Do you guys support Patel doing investigations against alleged corrupt officials within our government? Now, speaking of which, the CEO shooter incident in New York, it just got a stunning update. They've now charged the suspect who they think is the only guy capable of pulling this thing off. I mean, we've seen her fighting publicly with high-profile Democrats, trading insults on national TV, and even earning 4 Pinocchios from Washington Post for lying that illegal migration was worse under Trump than Biden. Anna Navarro on The View didn't mince words either, calling Nancy Pelosi nasty for telling the New York Times that the Dems would have won if Biden had quit sooner. And Simone Sanders Townsend from MSNBC criticized her for helping orchestrate the very public demise of the president. Senator John Fetterman, he didn't hold back either, questioning why Pelosi, at 84 years old, insists on clinging to power instead of passing the torch on to the younger generation. He said that Nancy Pelosi got what she wanted, and now she's still blaming Biden. Honestly, it just seems like at this point, the only reason why she's sticking around is out of ego, especially especially since she's now demanding titles like emerita from her successors. Maybe it's time she held hands with Mitch McConnell and stepped aside for the good of everyone. Drop a quick yes in the comments down below if you guys agree. Also hit the like button to show your support. And if you haven't already, I highly recommend subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications so you don't miss out on our next updates. And hey, don't miss out on our other videos that are already up on the channel. Now, I just uploaded another video tearing down FBI Director Christopher Wray for resigning before Trump and Kash Patel drive him out along with the rest of the swamp. Be sure to check that video out right after this one. But as always, appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for hitting the like button and subscribing. We'll see you guys next time. Term limits. That's all I'm saying, guys. Now, we talked about Senator Mitch McConnell having a fall the other day in Congress, and now Speaker Nancy Pelosi had a fall of her own while on a Congress trip overseas. So these politicians, they seem to be sick and tired, but somehow they just don't want to let go. And mind you guys, many say that it was Nancy Pelosi who really leaned on President Biden to drop out of the race because of his age. Well, she's even older than he is. Case in point, she was recently hospitalized after a bad fall. Watch this.
Following breaking news this hour about former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Her spokesperson says that she's currently in the hospital after getting hurt while traveling with a congressional delegation to Luxembourg. No official word yet on what that injury is, but according to a statement from her office, the 84-year-old is being treated by doctors and is continuing to work. NBC News senior national political reporter Sahil Kapoor joins me now from Capitol Hill. Sahil, what else is Pelosi's office saying, not only about her current condition, but about the circumstances of what happened?
Yeah, it's not a very detailed statement from her office, Morgan. Her spokesperson, Ian Krager, says simply that while traveling on a congressional delegation to Luxembourg, the former speaker sustained an injury during an official engagement and was admitted to the hospital for evaluation. He goes on to say that she is receiving excellent treatment from doctors and medical professionals, that she continues to work. She was unable to attend the remainder of that delegation, and that she looks forward to returning home soon. That is the statement from her office. Now, in terms of the nature of the injury, the severity, the recovery time, the statement does not address those questions. I've asked her office about those matters, and I've not received a response yet. I'll keep you posted if I do. Pelosi is, of course, 84 years of age. She has served in the House since 1987, 2 stints as Speaker of the House. She stepped down as the top Democrat in the caucus after fully 2 decades in that powerful job. She is, however, still the representative from San Francisco. She just won another 2-year term for that job. Morgan?
Now, seriously, guys, the first thing that my uncle said when I told him about this, bet her insurance claims won't be denied. Yeah, right? Now, I did a little bit of digging and I found out that Nancy Pelosi tripped and fell as she was going down some marble stairs at the Grand Ducal Palace, breaking her hip. CNN also confirmed that she had fallen on the stairs. Too bad these liberal media news networks love to forget these politicians have free healthcare while we pay for these politicians who voted against giving us free healthcare. You know what I mean? But yeah, definitely no surprise when there wasn't very much sympathy for the longtime House Speaker, given just how Nancy Pelosi was to blame for recently this major divide within her own party. Watch.
Nancy Pelosi, Miranda Devine has written a great op-ed. Nancy Pelosi is finished. No one deserves more blame for the Dems' $1 billion electoral collapse than her. Keep in mind, she's the one who stabbed Joe Biden in the chest, and essentially he had to walk the plank. So she is the reason Kamala Harris was the nominee, and she is the reason, according to so many people, that they really stunk up the place this election.
Pelosi told the New York Times that President Biden should have dropped his re-election bid earlier, and that if he had, Democrats might have had the opportunity to run an open primary. And that led to this headline. Axios headline says, "Scoop, House Dems sick of Pelosi." And one senior House Democrat that was interviewed says, quote, "She needs to take a seat."
Yeah.
Right. By the way, how disrespectful it is for the sitting speaker. Keem Jeffries, he's the one who should be front and center. He's the one who should be giving explanations, excuses, and setting up a mission. And he said that a member of the Congressional Black Caucus said this: "I don't think Pelosi, is being respectful of him, Jeffries." Now, Jeffries was asked that specifically on Sunday on Meet the Press. Listen.
Very quickly, though, do you think she's undermining your leadership with her public pronouncements?
No.
Okay, that was quick. One of the arguments that Nancy Pelosi made is that President Biden should have gotten out of the race sooner. Do you believe he should have dropped out sooner?
I think that President Biden will go down in history as one of the most consequential presidents of all time, and I was thankful for all of the work that we were able to do together. He did make the decision. It was a selfless decision to pass the torch to Vice President Kamala Harris. I think she ran with it and did the best job that she could under incredibly challenging circumstances in a little over 100 days. She came close, but we fell short.
Now, seriously, guys, the lady made all sorts of enemies in the Democratic Party. She even went after Senator Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders said on Wednesday, after Kamala Harris was thumped, he wrote, "It should come as no great surprise that a Democrat Party which has abandoned working class people would find that the working class has abandoned them. First, it was the white working class, and now it is Latino and black workers as well. While the Democrat leadership defends the status quo, the American people are angry and want change, and they're right." A lot of Democrats, including Nancy Pelosi, taking some issue with this.
That's right. Here's what she said after Bernie Sanders said that.
With all due respect, and I have a great deal of respect for him, for what he stands for, but I don't respect him saying that the Democratic Party has abandoned the working class families. That's where we are. For example, under President Biden, you see the rescue package, money in the pockets of people, the shots in the arm, children in school safely, working people back to work. What's his name? What did Trump do when he was president? One bill that gave a tax cut to the richest people in America. In fact,
why did voters who earned less than 100,000 K go for Trump in such large numbers?
Well, there are cultural issues involved in elections as well. Guns, God, and gays. That's the way they say it.
So
You're right. They're not going to come.
No,
they're not learning.
And let's not forget her blaming President Biden for the party's loss in the election. Even Senator John Fetterman got sick of it.
Democrat Senator John Fetterman, he went after Nancy Pelosi after she blamed Biden for the Democrats' losses. Fetterman told Pelosi, quote, "You got what you wanted and now you're still blaming Biden." He suggested she step down to give a younger generation an opportunity. Pelosi will be 86 in the 2026 midterms. Is it time to make way for a younger generation?
Man, I got to tell you, that guy is quotable.
He is now.
Look, I think that was the argument of the Kamala Harris campaign, is that there needs to be a new generation. And I think Pelosi needs to decide whether she is this legendary leader who, knocks heads and makes all the decisions, or whether she doesn't have any responsibility at all. Which one is it? So I think Fetterman makes a good point, and I think he makes a good point about this sort of stultifying leadership that's been in place for decades that people have largely rejected in favor of something they're taking a pretty big risk on, as we talked about in the last discussion.
By the way, guys, that was Fox News contributor Mary Catherine Ham, who was commenting on just how bad Nancy Pelosi is messing things up in the Democratic Party. Well, guys, the great wealth transfer is in full effect. Our freedoms are being stolen, guys. Credit card companies are out to get us. And if you don't understand the game, well, you end up getting played by the game. Now, if you're anything like me, guys, you were probably out of shape, maybe in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, and just feeling like the system is just completely taking advantage of you. I remember for a long time, I could rarely ever get any time to spend with my wife. And through trial and error and through a lot of pain, I figured out how to gain freedom and also lose a lot of weight and actually get in shape. And guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, that was a game changer. To no longer be living paycheck to paycheck, figuring out how to get the credit cards to pay me, the power of a strong credit score. I pay thousands of dollars less per year for the same house as my neighbor just because my credit is better than his is. And this is not to brag. But this is the truth. The banks are literally taking advantage of the poor. It's like the people who can least afford it, they're charging the poor what is like unofficially called a poor tax, or a tax on the poor. I'm now at a point where, number one, I don't pay for credit cards. In fact, credit card companies pay me to use their cards. And I figured out how to build a lifestyle that is just ultimately very, very healthy. I lost a tremendous amount of weight and I put on a lot of muscle. But when I was struggling, I wish I knew people who knew these things. So anyway, I decided to create a community of like-minded people who are also interested, just like me, in living better. So if you guys want to join my community, it's called the Liberty Pursuit Network. It is brand new. Come on over. I'd love to have you guys and join like-minded people. Be positively motivated by others who are also on the same pursuit. So I'm going to leave a link for you guys so you can join me over on the Life Pursuit Network in the description down below this video. So check it out, guys, and let's not be a victim of this great wealth transfer that is taking place right now. Now, shifting gears just a little bit here, guys, many critics claim that authorities have the wrong man when it comes to the recent New York CEO shooting. The suspect, Luigi Mangione, is the prime suspect for the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. His lawyer, though, argues that there's nothing here that makes his client guilty. Interesting, huh? Now, I covered this in a previous video, guys. You got to check that out after this one. This story is getting crazier by the minute. Now, as always, appreciate you guys hitting the like button and subscribing. Check out these videos coming up here next, and we'll see you guys on the next one.